I'm currently working on this giant thing, and, well, I don't get a ton of opportunities to do miniatures this big, and there's a lot of very different stuff that you get to do on a miniature like that. It's pretty interesting for me, it's pretty different, but it's not the easiest thing to make content for, at least not in the traditional way that I would normally make painting content. So what I decided to do instead is kind of a vlog. So I've got a couple of little sections coming up for you of each day's progress on him that are going to sort of track what I did on each day. And it's going to take, I'm doing this in my spare time, so it's going to take a few weeks to kind of go back and forth and chip away at bits and go back in and readdress things, correct mistakes, tidy stuff up. But once he's all done, I'm going to be giving him away to one of my patrons. So with that in mind, I want to do a really, really nice job on him, and because I've just got to kind of do him between commissions and stuff, it's going to take quite a while, which is, I guess, sort of ideal for a vlog. So hopefully this is going to form at least a series over the next, I hope, at least 4 weeks. I don't see him being done any quicker than that. It's going to be very loosey-goosey, very freeform. As you can tell from this intro, I'm not scripting myself or anything. So yeah, here's some blog footage of the 3 days that I managed to put in on him this week. So day 1 on Magnus, this is how far we got. He's actually sub-assembled. These wings aren't attached, but they push fit quite nicely into the sockets. So I figured I'd prime him with them in there, because then when I do the initial spray and there's kind of that pink burst on this part of the wing before it goes into black, that'd just be easier to do. So I figured I'd have the wings pushed in there, but we've got the main bulk of him cleaned up and primed. I decided to put the lower leg armor on because that just isn't really that hard to paint around. There's obviously a lot of parts of the armor that are quite hard to paint around. There's no way the chest armor, the thigh armor, or the shoulder armor, for example, can go on, because they will just be too much work to paint around. That just, it won't work. So this is how much I sub-assembled. Everything else is still on the sprue. I haven't even bothered taking it off and cleaning it yet. There's a loincloth for the front, a bum cloth for the back. Went with the capeche, not the spear. I like both, to be honest with you. I really like both. But I think the spear is a bit compositionally awkward. It demands a lot of real estate on the eye when you look at the miniature, and I feel like what you should be looking at is obviously the face, which is always the case with any miniature you paint. You always want to be drawing attention to the face and that impressive wingspan. I feel like those are the things that you should be taking in at first glance. And the spear is just a little bit detracting from that, so I decided not to go with it. So this is after day 1. I'm actually recording this on day 2 because I didn't decide to record it until today. So yesterday was cleaning and building, and then today so far I've primed it. So yeah, that's how far we got. Okay, so this is day 2 of the Magnus Diaries, and just the airbrush work today. The intention is only to work on this kind of piecemeal between other projects. I'm doing it as a giveaway, actually. This is going to be a giveaway for my patrons. So, you know, shameless plug, if you're not currently subbed to the Patron, or to the Patreon, then patreon.com/thatmrshy. There's always a link in the description anyway. Go and check it out. It's like £1 a month, and you can get into giveaways to win minis like this, and there's a really cool Discord and stuff like that. But one of the interesting things that I decided to do was I decided to go for this kind of underlit effect. So you see, as you face him head on, he's very much definitely red, no mistake, but I decided just to underlight him with this slightly blue, dark green, and I really like how that looks, actually. I think that's going to be really interesting, especially when we start to get the brushwork in, start to put the texture in. At the moment, obviously, everything's very, very smooth, way smoother than I'd want it to be for a finished piece. You know, I am kind of known as someone who favours texture in painting, and this will be no exception. I'm going to want to bring some texture in here, but yeah, you know, 2 days in, and still feeling very positive, still enjoying it, and still looking forward to getting it to the next stage. Okay, so this is week 1, day 3, and it's a pretty dramatic change today, actually. I've done quite a bit more on him than even I expected to be honest. I didn't think I was going to get this much work done on him today. But here we are on the ragged edge with a Magnus that's really starting to take shape, actually. So what did I do today? Wings are still detachable. I'm not a madman. I'm not planning on working with the wings on. He says as he struggles to get a wing off. There we go. I also, when I ship this, kind of want the wings to still be off for shipping. I haven't decided on that yet, but I feel like maybe the wings should be off for shipping. So what did I do today? Well, there was quite a bit of work on this hand here. Let's just refocus the camera. Oop, there we go. Lots of lighting and stuff like that. You can also see on the skin here that I've done a bunch of texturing, and I decided to experiment a little with the Sergio Calvo technique of texturing and then airbrushing over it to transition the texturing back into the sort of smoothly painted stuff. So it shows up best on his chest, which is a bit of a shame, because if I decide to put the chest armor on, I haven't decided yet whether or not I'm putting the chest armor on, but obviously if I do, it's going to cover that. That might even be a reason on its own to not put the chest armor on, but I think I want sort of the shoulder armor, and I think I want this armor at least. So I definitely want to put some of the armor on. I think that's kind of a decision that most people who paint this miniature will have to make at some point, is how much of the armor they want to use. But you can see I've got everything prepped for golds now. All the dry brushing is done for all the feathered areas. This hand is essentially finished except for the claws and these little sort of bony protrusions and little bits of piping and stuff, you know, little bits of decoration. So the next sort of big step is golds, really. And I've just got to kind of reach a decision as to whether I'm going to attack those before or after I do things like the horn, the hair. Because at the point that I start doing golds, I'm probably going to want to de-sprue and prime the armor, because that's all going to be done in the same colors. So it's just kind of much more efficient to paint it all together. But I haven't quite decided yet on the next part of the order of operations. And this is probably the last day that I'm going to work on him this week as well. So in fact, this is definitely the last day, because I know what I'm doing tomorrow, and tomorrow's my last working day this week, and it's not this. So yeah, this is the last that I'll do on him this week. This will be the last sort of vlog entry for week 1, but I'm actually really happy with that progress. For saying that this is just between other commissions, I'm currently working on, I've got more Blood Bowl going on at the moment. I've got Necromunda Eschers going on at the moment. So, you know, for saying that this is something that I'm just doing between other jobs, I'm actually really happy with this amount of progress. I think he's looking good so far. There's still some areas where I'm going to have to be careful, because there's some very tricky stuff coming up, making the gold look the way I want it to. I'm also not going to be doing, on the box art, let me just have a quick rummage for the box. So on here, you can see that there's quite a lot of Thousand Suns blue accents on the armor. 100% a taste thing, but I don't like it. It doesn't look good to me. An amount of clashiness is never a terrible thing. With such a big miniature like this, having sort of bits of clashy, kind of high contrast, visually jarring stuff, it can be really good for kind of attracting people to look to the parts of the miniature that you want them to look at. That's certainly never a bad thing. However, in the case of all these Thousand Suns blue bits, I think they just kind of confuse the detail. I think this would just look better if it was just metallics, just nice metallics. Or maybe if I do incorporate a colour, I'll instead go for red for pre-heresy Thousand Suns. And I think that would also look okay. I think red could definitely work. But yeah, I'm not super happy with the idea of the Thousand Suns blue, so that's probably going to be dropped. I'm definitely going to be using the loincloths because I like them. Like I said, I want to put the thigh armour on. So the plan is still kind of fairly strong in my head. You know, I've still got a pretty good idea of what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, my order of operations and all that. So yeah, that's going to be the Magnus blog, which I think I'm going to call Blognus The Red. I think that's going to be the actual name for this video series. yeah, that's going to be the end of week 1. So this is where we're at. We got some wings, we got some Magnus. Things are going well. Thanks for watching, folks. He's coming along pretty nicely, isn't he? I'm happy so far. He's as difficult as I expected him to be, and the main reason he's difficult is because there's a lot of sort of awkward parts that you need to paint and can't really get a good hand position on. That's kind of the main thing with him that makes him difficult. Keeping the wings detachable until the last possible minute is definitely going to do me a lot of big favours in that regard, but a lot of the struggle is just trying not to get deposits from your hand onto him, trying not to smudge him, trying to be able to hold him comfortably, that kind of stuff. So he's been a very interesting learning process so far. I think he's progressing nicely. I can now, because I've got so much done on him, see a few areas of little mistakes that I want to go back in and correct and just work out a bit more. So that's good. That's a positive thing. You want to be able to spot those things before they become a problem. So it's all positive at this stage. It's looking good. As I mentioned at the start of the video, as well as this being sort of very loosey-goosey, unscripted and quick content, there is a second purpose to it. I'm actually giving this away to a patron once it's finished. And the reason I'm doing that is because my patrons have just been incredible this year. The journey has been amazing. The Patreon campaign has grown massively in such a short amount of time. I'm incredibly impressed and humbled, really, by people just wanting to chip in a little bit. And I think the main reason that people want to chip in a little bit is because we have such a great community built up around the Discord and the channel, and that's sort of something worth giving back to. So what actually happened was, one of the patrons bought this for me for my birthday. It's my birthday coming up, and he said, you know, if you want it, paint it, enjoy it, love it. If you don't want it, do something else with it. I don't mind at all. And I said, well, I really want to paint it and enjoy it, but what I'd also really like to do, because people like yourself keep being so generous, is give it back to someone in the Discord server, you know, someone that's part of the Patreon campaign. So if you've been being tempted by the Patreon campaign, if you've sort of thought about it and maybe, you know, not quite gone with it yet, it's about £1 a month to sign up. It's very cheap. That gets you into the Discord, it gets you early access to videos, that kind of thing. So go for it, give it a go, and by the time this Magnus is finished, you could be the person that wins it, which is, you know, pretty rad if it's only going to cost you a couple of quid here or there, maybe. That's it. I'm going to get out of here now. You know, the usual rigmarole: like, share, subscribe, notification bell, all that kind of stuff. Thank you. I will see you in the next vlog. These are going to be very shonky by the look of things. Bye, everyone. Thanks for watching.